Hey guys, it's Art Room Guru here, and we are going to make an elephant today out of clay. You can use air dry clay from Walmart, Meijer, wherever your local art supply store is, Hobby Lobby, whatever you got, Michaels. Grab some air dry clay. I'm going to use actual clay because in my class here at school, we are making elephants and firing them in the kiln and glazing them and all sorts of stuff. So let me show you how I make an elephant, and you can follow along with your air dry clay if you'd like at home. All right. First thing we got to do is make the body. So I'm going to take a chunk of clay, I would say about the size of a golf ball, and what I want to do is roll it in the palm of my hands, like so, with a little bit of pressure. If you struggle to roll it in the palm of your hands, you can put it on the desk, roll it around, but make sure what I have here is a piece of cardboard inside a Ziploc bag, a gallon Ziploc bag, because it won't stick to this. If you were to put it on your table, there's a possibility it would stick to your table. So the first step is to smooth it out and get a nice smooth ball, the best you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Then we're going to switch directions. We're going to go up and down to make a cylinder shape, okay? So a cylinder shape like this. And again, it does not have to be perfect. All right, set that piece aside. Step number 2, we're going to pull a chunk of clay about the size of a large grape, and we're going to roll that into a ball. So let's roll it around, roll it around, roll it around. And what do I got? All right, I've got a ball. Now I'm going to do a technique that is called scoring. Okay, so you can use a tool like I have here, or if you don't have this, you could just use the tip of a pencil. Okay, and I'm going to scrape, I'm going to put some scratches in here where I'm going to place the head, and then on the bottom of the head, I'm also going to score it. And I just kind of do tic-tac-toe board type shapes. All right, I'm going to add with a paintbrush and a little bit of water, just a tad bit of water on both sides. And then I'm going to place the head right on top. So right now it kind of looks like a rubber ducky. But we need to smooth that in. So I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to go around and very gently I'm going to smooth in the head of this elephant. All right. And that way it's nice and secure on there. All right. Just like that. All right. If you want to, you can take your paintbrush and you can kind of smooth out the little imperfections that you have. All right. And then set it down to dry for a minute. So there we go. We've got our elephant body and head. So now we need to make 4 legs. I'm going to pull off 4 chunks about the size of a grape again. All right. Try to make these as equal as we can because these are going to be our legs. All right. And I'm going to roll them into 4 balls. I'm rolling around, rolling. And then I'll set that one aside. I'll roll this one into a ball. And then I'll set that aside. And the same with the last 2. Okay, but elephant legs are not balls. So what do we have to do? Yes, we have to make it into a cylinder shape by going up and down. Keeping in mind that we want to keep these legs thick, okay? We want to keep them thick. If you start pinching them and making them flimsy, then they will not hold up your elephant body, all right? So I'm making nice thick legs, about the thickness of a Sharpie marker. the body of a Sharpie marker for reference. All right, so there we go. Pachow. Okay, now I'm not going to score these ones. I'm going to do a different technique. I'm going to take this, and I'm not putting it at the bottom. I'm putting it at the side. And then I'm going to use my thumb to blend into the body. And that creates a shoulder, right? If I were to put it right on the bottom, there would be no shoulder of this elephant. But now I've got a nice broad shoulder. And I'm going to do the same thing with the back leg. Blend it in. Okay. Flip it over. Blend in this one, this back leg. Best you can. Take this leg, blend that in. All right, best you can. So now I've got all 4 legs on my elephant. And it should stand up, which it does. All right, now I have to secure underneath the elephant. So if we look right here, there are these little gaps where the legs could easily break off. So I'm going to take some extra clay and I'm going to blend that in. I'm going to fill in those little gaps. Okay? Can you see what I'm doing here? I'm going to fill in those little gaps and smooth it in to the legs and to the body so that these back legs are nice and secure. And I'm going to do the same thing with the front 2 legs. I'm just going to grab some extra clay. And perfectly doable with air dry clay as well. In fact, air dry clay is really cool because you can get different colors and really make your elephant look fun and exciting. Remember, this is art. It doesn't have to be a gray elephant. It can be a colorful elephant. It can be anything you want to make it, right? So now I've got all that filled in pretty good. And you can see it's a lot more secure for standing than it was before. Okay, and now you can kind of adjust it how you want it to be. All right, there we go. We've got our elephant. Okay, now we need to make ears, right? African elephants have giant ears, so that's what I'm going to shoot for. So about the size of a grape again. Got to roll it into the ball like we've been doing this whole time. 1 ball. 2 balls. And the difference here, though, is instead of turning it into a cylinder like we did before, we're going to flatten it. Now, when we flatten clay, we're going to put it in the palm of our hand, and we're going to use our other palm and give it some pressure. I still want it the size of a or the thickness of like a small mini pancake. I don't want to pinch it like this because it will lose its thickness and become very flimsy. So we want it more like a quarter, okay? Same with this one. Flatten it down with the palm of your hand, but keep that nice, thick shape to it. Don't go pinching it. All right, now I'm going to take it and I'm going to smush it into the ear and use my finger to blend it in. And the same thing on the back. Use your finger to blend it in. If you need to add a little extra clay to kind of fill in some gaps and to make it more secure on your elephant, you are obviously welcome to do that. If you put the ears towards the top of the elephant, it's going to look like Mickey Mouse. So don't do that. Okay, it'll look more like a mouse than an elephant. So I'm smushing this in again using my fingertips, smoothing it all out, turning it around, blending it in the back. And there we have it. We've got our ears. All right, so this guy's coming along. Okay, now we need to make the trunk. So I'm going to take a little piece of clay, maybe a little bigger, about the size of a grape again. Roll it into a ball like we always do, except this time we're going to go back to our cylinder shape. Go up and down to make that cylinder shape. And it will naturally make that little hole in the front of the elephant trunk, which is really cool. Now I'm going to take my elephant and I'm going to smush this into the front of the face. But then, once again, I've got to smooth it all the way around with my fingertip. Blend it in nice. And as you can see, if you leave that sticking straight out, that looks pretty bizarro land. So what we're going to do is bend it, right? So you can pick what position you want to bend your elephant trunk into, but I'm just going to kind of curl it back this way, all right? So there we go. Now we've got our trunk, our ears, our body, everything is coming together, looking fantastic. Then it's up to you. Do you want to add tusks? If so, you're going to roll the same sort of cylinder, but you're going to put more pressure on the tip as you're rolling to make it a little skinnier. And you're going to smush that in and blend it in with your fingertip. We're blending a lot of things in with our fingertips today, but that's just the way it goes. Or you can add a little extra clay, or you can score it like we did before. I'm going to use another piece, roll it into a ball, go back and forth, adding more pressure on my thumb there to make that little point. Okay. And I'm going to smush it in over here. Blend it in with my fingertips. All right. So now we've got an elephant with 2 tusks sticking out. This guy is a beast. Then I'm going to take another little piece, roll it into a tiny ball, go back and forth, adding that pressure to make that part skinny. And I'm going to stick that on the back and blend that in. That is the elephant's tail. Boom. All right. And the final thing, you can roll tiny little balls right here with your fingertips if you wanted to add those for eyes. So let's just do that. You can smush it in a little bit. Roll another tiny little ball and smush it in so we've got some eyes on our elephant. Okay. You guys can see that in the camera, hopefully. And the final step that I like to do is to smooth out all the little imperfections. So that's where the paintbrush and a little cup of water comes in. Get a little water on your paintbrush, and you can go over your entire elephant, blending in cracks, blending in little imperfections, little things that bother you. It also helps to seal your elephant as one cohesive unit, one solid piece of artwork where everything flows together nice and smooth. All right, you can get the legs. Now you want to do this step last because once you add water, too much water to your clay, it will turn into a slippery, muddy mess. And it will be hard to attach things to it when it's this wet. So this, for me, is my last step. Everybody's got a slightly different process with clay, and this is my process. All right, so I'm smoothing this out. I'm getting the little cracks that are in the ears, on the edge of the ears. And there we have it. All right, guys, so we have created our finished elephant piece. Okay, I'm going to let this dry for, I didn't blend that in very well, so I'm going to go back in. I'm going to let this dry for an entire week before I put it in the kiln and fire it. And then after that, we can glaze it, or you can just use regular old paint. Here's one that I made that I modeled after the elephants of India. And I put a piece of cloth over here, used a glue gun to glue that down. I put some diamonds on it and kind of painted it and decorated it. But you can make it however you want. It does not have to be all bedazzled like that. You could paint it gray. You could make a little mound for it to stand on if you want. You could flatten a piece of clay out like that. And now you've got a piece of earth for your elephant to stand on. You could make this be a little pool of water that they're drinking out of. Whatever you want to do, it's your imagination. Have fun with it. And I hope you enjoyed this process today. Like I said, this is easily doable with air dry clay. Let me get the bottom with that paintbrush, get these cracks out of here. Kind of hold it up. And there we have it, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Art Room Guru, and we will see you next time.